Welcome to the 101. We are the show dedicated to entrepreneurs and small business people. I'm Krisha House, and today we have a special guest, Greg Yoakam with kidslink.com. Good morning.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
It's good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Now, Greg and I do business with each other with Kids Linked, and we just started talking, and I kind of got on the topic of the radio show, and he was sharing his story with me, and I said, you need to come on. People need to hear this. So
Exactly.
welcome. When we spoke, you told me that there are, well, first let me ask you, when did you start kidslink.com?
So we officially came up and started our business in January of 2007. But I started thinking about 2 years before that. I have three kids. A 6-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 15-year-old.
Oh my goodness. You're a busy boy.
Exactly. And so what kind of got me initially thinking about it was my 15-year-old, who at the time was about probably 1 year old. And so that started to give me the ideas of what I was going to start doing with KidsLink.
So what was it exactly? I mean, what were you going through at that time that brought this concept to your mind?
Well, so my biggest problem at first was I only had one kid at the time and planned on having a couple more. And there was a lot of things that I was completely unknown of, like what would be happening as a parent, like maybe what are the things that they would be wanting to do and activities and places to go and classes and sports and all those types of things like that. So I was feeling confused and not knowing where to kind of start.
Kids will do that to you, right?
Exactly. So I started working on the business model and the things at that time. So in 2005 was when I really started to kind of put some pen to paper and started kind of like jotting down my ideas of things of what it was going to become.
Why don't you tell our listeners exactly what KidsLink is?
That sounds great. Well, and it's interesting because the thing is whenever you start a business, and so we've been in business now for over 10 years, what it started out and what it became were two different things. And I think that's the hardest thing that you have to do as an entrepreneur is understanding that your business changes sometimes because what you initially think it should be maybe isn't what people want. So like what we initially started off was, it was initially a technology company for families.
I remember you telling me that.
Exactly. And we were then licensing this out to media companies across the United States. What it was a place for coaches to put all their practice schedules and game schedules out there, and for teachers to put all their homework, and any volunteer things, an integrated family calendar that you could sync up with everybody.
Help keep you organized.
Exactly. A shopping list that you could go shop any website. And then we also had the activities and things to go do with your family. The problem that we experienced early on was we were licensing out to media companies, and we did that in 2008, but then the recession hit in 2008.
Yes, it did.
Exactly. And so when that happened, all these contracts and licenses that we had in place really just completely went underwater. And we tried to struggle through it through about 2009 and 2010, and eventually got to the point like, all right, if we're going to make KidsLink successful, we really have to change things around. So we deactivated a lot of the technology because it was really forcing us to have to do too many things at once. And I think that's the problem when anytime you start a business is you get this grand idea like, this is everything that I want to do. And the issue is it's almost too much for you to maintain, especially when you're smaller as an organization.
And you're one person.
Exactly. So what we did is we got it down to where the most simplest things, but where we were getting the most amount of interest. And so we really became a place for parents to find things to do with their kids, activities, events, and then we built off of that model over time.
That's great.
And so what we've become now is we're a place for parents to find things for their kids. So we own over 21 events. We do publications, but the whole idea is that we simplify what they're looking for. But we didn't instantly discover that too.
Well, when we spoke, there were two words that you hold on to all the time. Do you want me to tell them, or do you want to tell them what those two words are?
Either way.
Well, perseverance.
Absolutely.
And persistence.
Exactly.
Which both of those words, the definitions of those words came into play when you launched your first product and it failed.
Absolutely. And within that too, so once we made the business change and we started doing something different, you might think at first that there is, you've now discovered gold or diamond and stuff like that. So at first, when we started doing events, we're thinking this is going to be great. We're on the right path. We've been attending events. We've been doing things like that, but it failed at first. So we had
What failed about?
Well, we
that?
didn't understand. We didn't understand the business model behind it first. We didn't understand how to get people to come to events and things like that.
Oh, yeah. You think we're going to throw an event, we're going to pop a sign here and make a couple calls, and we're going to get thousands of people that show up because they want exactly what we have to offer. And it's not that easy.
Exactly. That is the problem. So we first did this event. The very first event we did that we controlled, we had 50 people show up at the event. And we spent thousands of dollars trying to build this event and things like that. And so everybody around me at that time was telling me, all right, you did your best, good try, pack up your bags and then go do something else with your life. And I could have ended it at that point. But that's where persistence and perseverance gets into. It's not that you go out and continue to do the same thing over and over again. It's what did I learn from that? And make some changes. So we did make some changes, and then we changed some things around. And the next event didn't have 10,000 people at it, but it had 600 people at it. And so we started to grow off of that.
You didn't give up. You were very persistent.
Exactly. And so the thing is that when you fail, it's not that giving up on your failure, and it's not that you continue to repeat that failure. It's the perseverance to do all the little things that you need to do behind that to learn from that and grow off of that. I see so many businesses with KidsLink. We really help a lot of businesses get started to help them make them aware to parents and things like that. And I see so many businesses after the first year kind of hit this crossroad. And in that crossroad, they really have to decide, all right, am I going to continue or am I going to pack it up?
Throw the hat in. We are up against a break. I want to, when we return, get right back into that.
Sounds great.
This is Bill Gerhardt from Greenscapes Landscape Company. We are proudly celebrating our 41st year as Citro Ohio's premier landscape experts. We have phenomenal craftsmen and designers with decades of diverse knowledge and creativity to suit any of your landscape needs. And since 1977, our passion, vision, and dedication of our employees have made outdoor dreams a reality for our clients. For residential or commercial projects, we do it all. See for yourself at our showroom at greenscapes.net or email us directly with your ideas. Let Greenscapes make your outdoor dream a reality.
As a mom, I'm always looking for quick and easy solutions to those everyday problems. Like how do I get my kids to stop fighting? The ever-popular sound of I'm bored, and then there's keeping them occupied in the car.
Introducing the Bag O' Life, pre-made solutions for life's moments. There's the get-along bag, the boredom bag, the travel bag, and more. These bags bring everyone together and inspire fun. To learn more or to order, go to life.com. A bag for life's moments, a memory maker.
You are listening to the 101, and welcome back. We have Greg Yoakam with kidslink.com with us today. Now, before we went to break, we were talking about that crossroad point as an entrepreneur and a small business owner. Some people face, I have this great idea and it's going to work. And when it doesn't work, they're at a crossroads. They've kind of got two choices that they need to, do you throw in the towel and call it quits? Or do you, recoup, readjust, and what are your words? What are your...
Persevere and continue to move forward.
Or persist, yes.
Exactly. The problem is when you get to that crossroads, I think the issue that happens is, use an example like a martial arts studio or something, any type of business that has customers that they're trying to draw. The problem I think that people is that sometimes they think the first year I'm out there, I'm going to go viral and everybody in the world is going to instantly love it. They don't realize that when you build a business, it's all about base building. And what are you doing to continue to build on that base? So like if you, using the martial arts example, if you have 40 families that sign up for that martial arts class, all right, that's a base you need to work off of. Now you can continue to build off of that. You may want to eventually get to 70 or 80 different people registering, but that's not a year one goal. Some people think that's a year one goal. That may be a year two, year three. You may be losing money. So you really have to make sure you're financially stable enough to be able to get that business up and running.
Oh, I agree. I see many people that go too big too soon and they bankrupt themselves, and they either don't meet their growth, so their funds get low, and that's just slow. slow process, goals. Goals, it's a big word of mine.
Exactly.
Set small goals that'll get you to your large end goal.
Exactly. And so with not only with base building, but you're also you have to change people's behaviors too. And that's not an easy thing to do.
How do you do that?
Well,
please tell me.
Well, and the key behind that is, so you have to think about your business in two different ways. Is it a brand new business that nobody's ever utilized before, or is it an existing business that you have to convert people to want to utilize you? So for instance, if it's a brand new business and you invent widget X, no one's ever used it before, you've got an uphill battle to convince people that it's going to make their life better or something useful for them. That takes a while. Even if it's something brilliant, it takes a while to convert people over to it. If it's an existing item, like it's a sandwich shop or something like that, you've got to convince people to come over and try your sandwich shop and then get them to come over. Either way, you have to understand you're changing behavior, and then you have to then take on an approach, whether it's how you get in front of those people, how you market in front of them, whatever it is, but it takes a while. And in the end, if you're happy about it and positive about it and maintain a positive attitude, that in itself will help carry you a long way as well.
See, it's our relationship when we first met. I'm not the best at returning emails and returning phone. Don't laugh at me.
What are you talking about?
And returning phone calls, and I have two businesses I'm trying, one I'm trying to run, a new one I'm trying to get off the ground floor. And I can't tell you how many calls and emails I get. Market with us. You want to let me, let's meet. I would be in a meeting all day, every day for weeks on end.
Absolutely.
So you probably have sent me a few emails.
Stalked, maybe
a little bit of stalked, maybe just a little bit, but you were persistent. I will tell you, with me, you have to be persistent. And in our case, persistent, it paid off.
Absolutely. And what you have to realize too when you start a business is the person's that business is the most important. That business is the most important to the only one person, that person who owns that business.
Right.
Everybody else you're fitting into their schedules. And so you can't be offended when people don't instantly respond to everything that you're asking them to do, because in the end, still, you may be living and breathing every second of the day of the business, and you can't understand why everybody doesn't feel the same excited about it. Well, they have lives, they have family and friends and the business that they're running and all these other things like that. So your persistence is going to be, it needs to be in front of them, because when that time is that when they're ready for your business, you want to be in front of them and available. You don't want to stalk them maybe, but you need to,
you didn't do that.
But you need to be politely in front of them. And then when they tell you no, you can't look at that as no forever. Because there are lots of people that have told me no over the years that ended up doing business with us.
And I think maybe I did in the beginning.
Exactly.
We're not taking on any new ventures right now. We're not looking for this. And guess what? Next season, I hear from Greg. And he's very persistent. And finally, it was like, fine, come on.
Exactly.
Show me what you've got.
Exactly.
And, I wish I would have given it a chance sooner, but like you said, in my own time, you were persistent and patient. And then in my own time, I was there. And when I was ready, you were right there with a smile and a, friendly face.
Exactly.
To give me my opportunity. So
exactly.
Why don't you tell people exactly, Kids Link, we talked a little bit about, you have events
absolutely
all over town, and they are focused family fun events for parents who want to get their crazy kids out of their house. I get it. Kids they have so much energy. I wish I could bottle that up and sell it.
Absolutely.
I just wish I could. And you have so many great events, but what I do with you, we advertise on your website. Why don't you tell them a little bit about your website and how they can find it?
Sure, absolutely. So kidslink.com is our main focus is to help parents find things to do with their kids, whether it's an activity or event or a class or childcare or a program or any of those type of things like that. We try to make it easy by just helping to sort that information and things like that. I mean, and then in regards to our events, the whole idea behind it is that, as a family, you're looking for fun things to go do. So we want to create like a party. They're free. They're easy for people to kind of go to. We're in different areas: Hilliard, Powell, Dublin, Pickerington, Grove City, all over the place and stuff. So we really want to have a lot of fun with families and with our different things. So, everyone's invited, and we just, in the end, we want to make it an easy process for you as a parent to be able to whatever it is, whether it's finding something to do today or finding a class or any type of program like that for your kids. That's what we want to basically do in the end, is make it easier for you to do that so you can spend the time with your kids in the end.
Now tell them, you already said when you started these events, you had very low numbers attending. It was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is not what we wanted. This is not the, perception we want people to have of us.
Exactly.
But with your persistence, tell me, how many attendees do you have at your events now?
We get anywhere between about 1,500 to 10,000 people, depending on the event. Our largest event of the year is going to be the Columbus Children's Festival, which is coming up June 17th in Westerville. And I think that what's key behind all these events is that, one, we want to make it as very family-friendly as possible. Make it easy. We don't charge for admission. We don't charge for parking. We want to make it fun for the family to get into the events and things like that.
What are some things that you have? You don't have to tell them everything, but what are some of the things at the events that you have for families?
Absolutely. We have all kinds of stuff. I mean, we have bounce houses and face painters and balloon artists and music and entertainers.
I want to go.
Yeah. But on top of that, especially when we hit our summer series, we have these fun foam runs and things like that.
Foam run?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Exactly. And it's pretty cool because, like, my whole thing is I try to think about an event as how the kid would perceive it. So they not only to run through a foam machine.
You have to be a kid at heart.
And you can be any age to run it from about 1 to 99 or 105.
Or 105.
But then there's like these little treat stations that they can run to where they can get like goodies and things like that. So it's the super most fun. And then at the end, we have an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast that you can do as well.
Oh, my
And that's
goodness.
all included as that. But the whole thing is it's just a microcosm of how we try to make these events as fun as possible in the end to do all this different stuff.
Now, you send out mailers to people that also will kind of give them, let me see if I can remember. You have, of course, your fall and summer and spring brochures that go out, and you have one based on birthday party ideas.
Yep.
You have one for summer camps.
Yep. That's actually going on right now. Summer camp season.
Oh,
It's not too late to still sign up.
Where can I ship my kids to for a week?
Exactly.
Now, how can somebody get on that list, or how can they get that information in their mailbox?
That's a great question. So the easiest way to do it is to come out to kidslink.com, KIDSLINKED.com. And you can, when you're on the website, there's a link on there where you can sign up for our email list or also subscribe to our publications. And what we'll do is, whether it's a fun activity or it's a class, we'll localize things to your area. So you get the things that are going to be relevant to you. So if you're in Marysville and maybe you're not going to go to Pataskala for something,
right.
we understand that. So we'll give you things into your area that makes the most amount of sense to you. So in the end, you can find it easier to go find fun things to do that day with your kids.
That's great. I know. We Putt and Play, we advertise and some of those publications, and
fun place.
Let's hope it's fun. Yes. And we've got a lot of response back from it. So any other small businesses out there who are geared, and that's your target audience, get in contact with Greg, because the exposure's there and it does work. That's why we continue to do business together.
Thank you.
So are we up against another break? Oh, all right. We are up against another break. This is Krisha from the 101. We'll be back shortly.
I'm Dr. Buzz, DC, with Buckeye Physical Medicine and Rehab, Columbus's largest hormone replacement center. For the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can completely reverse the effects of aging and the aches and pains of low T. Thousands of patients that suffer from low T have come to us to rejuvenate their youth. Buckeye Physical Medicine patients have enhanced their energy levels, rid themselves of inflammation, and feel years younger. Call Buckeye Physical Medicine and Rehab at 614-721-5698. That's 614-721-LOW-T. Or visit BuckeyePMR.com today.
As a mom, I'm always looking for quick and easy solutions to those everyday problems. You know, like how do I get my kids to stop fighting? The ever popular sound of I'm bored. And then there's keeping them occupied in the car.
Introducing the Bag O Life, pre-made solutions for life's moments. There's the get-along bag, the boredom bag, the travel bag, and more. These bags bring everyone together and inspire fun. To learn more or to order, go to life.com. A bag for life's moments, a memory maker.
If your business is aiming for the stars but is stuck in the fog, call Mr. Biz at Wentworth Financial Partners. If profits are what you prefer, call Mr. Biz. If cash flow is a concern, call Mr. Biz. If growth is your goal, you guessed it, call Mr. Biz. We are so confident in our results-oriented approach, we'll even guarantee it. Visit WentworthFinancialPartners.com to learn more about our guaranteed CFO services or call us at 614-962-7CFO. That's WentworthFinancialPartners.com.
So what is my grandbaby up to today?
Dad told me to tell everybody about our new 2017 Fuso Canter Workbox trucks.
Do they still have the best fuel economy?
They sure do, and they also come with the Mobileye collision avoidance system for free.
What in the wide world of sports is Mobileye?
It's like an extra pair of eyes for your truck, and it helps avoid accidents on the road.
No kidding. You know what else?
We will not be undersold.
Your truck resource, Mary Truck.
And we're back. Thank you for the listening. I can't talk today. I can't talk ever. Thank you for listening to the 101. Again, we are here with Greg Yoakam at kidslink.com.
Hello.
Now, we kind of discussed a little bit about starting out and how KidsLink has evolved as an entrepreneur. And with entrepreneur and small business people listening, I want to know your struggles. I want to know some of the parts that maybe you thought were easy that weren't so easy, your struggles and how you overcame that. So
that's a great question. You know, I think the problem that when you first off start a business, you don't know what you're really getting yourself into. And isn't
that the truth?
And so you think at first you've got this idealistic path of whatever you're doing. You're creating this great product or this great service or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. So with KidsLink, we were creating a very family-friendly organization at first. So we started hiring people in and things like that. And with kind of almost like with the intention that everyone's going to believe the same way you want and want to do the same things you want, you start bringing people on. The problem you have to realize at first is not everybody you're going to bring on is going to be the right fit. And despite whatever efforts you want to make initially to get people to, you know, act a certain way or help you out a certain way or treat customers a certain way, it doesn't work out that way perfectly at first.
Never.
Exactly.
You may think, you know, because interviews are just so open and honest and telling. You can tell your staff right off from the very first hello. But continue. I get what you're saying.
Exactly. So like for instance, some of the things that we learned early on is that you know, somebody might be really great at doing a lot of computer work, but that's not the person you want to answer your phone calls. Maybe they're not personable. They don't answer the phone right. They might be like, "What?" You know, you don't want them to say what. You want to say,
I've had that. Hello.
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. And it doesn't mean that person's not a good person. You just maybe have to either change the role, and sometimes maybe you just don't have a role for them. Maybe there's not a fit behind them. Mm-hmm. The second thing that I found is you have to understand your managerial style. You know, everybody fits differently based off of that managerial style. And the problem you have when you start a business is you're not necessarily wanting to position yourself as the manager as well, because you're trying to get the business running. You may be out there trying to get people and new customers and doing sales and all these other things, which may not necessarily make you the best manager of people. So if you depending on how you have to interact as the business owner, may have to determine who you're going to get. If you have people that need a lot of more assistance and help to get started, but you're really out there all the time talking to people, you probably need a different set of people. You need a lot of self-starters who are very independent and things like that.
So you don't have to micromanage and be at them all the time.
Exactly. And some people need that additional help and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to understand that when you're bringing people on, that what you need to be looking for and understanding your style as a person. Now, my style as a person is
I was just going to ask, what's your style, Greg?
I'm very laid back. I like to have people, I like to talk through an agenda, but I like to have people then kind of come up with items and then run with that. My whole purpose isn't that I want to manage somebody.
Right.
So the people that work for me now are very independent. And if somebody came in who was really controlling, they probably would not enjoy working for them. But if somebody wants wants constant direction and needs everything outlined for them, probably would enjoy working for me also. So you have to understand your style and how you're bringing people on into your organization as well.
That is a great thing to touch on. Was there do you have any hints or tips for?
A part of it is, and honestly,
take a psychology class.
I wish I was a genius on hiring this. Honestly, the way we got to the people that we have in the organization is we've been in business now for 10 years.
Did you do a trial period?
We had an initial kind of like 3-month time frame, but part of it is you just have to recirculate through people. I mean, I've got one person who's been with the company probably for 8 years, another person for 6, and then a person for 5, another person for 4. So what you could see is over time we've had to circulate through people. Now we have a really stable base of people, and now when we bring somebody in, we understand what we're looking for. But to say that I instantly knew what I was going to do, I was definitely far from the truth. But the key, I think, in the end, is you've got to understand how you are going to manage your business and how and your personality of who you are really dictates who you should be hiring. And understanding that. And then the third part behind that is understanding the product of what you're doing.
Maybe this should be your third business. You should, or another business for you. You should give seminars on how to hire and find the right employee, the right fit for you.
I think it's from the sheer number of failures that I've experienced with it.
But see, you were persistent and you persevered. That is another issue that people shut down and close their doors over because they can't staff or they're not finding the right staff. And
I agree.
Communication above all else in business is key, I think, on both ways. If you have no communication, I'm sorry. I will pray for you.
I agree.
Oh.
And my last tip real quick to anybody starting a business is if you can try and work in a business that's similar to what you're doing. I didn't. And so I was in technology, which I thought I was starting a technology company. We became a marketing and events company in the end. I didn't have any experience into that. So if you get a chance, if you're going to start a business, it's much easier to get off the ground running if you have at least some idea. And everyone thinks, oh, I understand this business because I've used it before. I think you have to help run it and be a part of it to really understand what you're going to get yourself into, or a parallel business that's similar in nature as well.
That's what they do, in high school. What do you want to do? Go shadow, go be an intern.
Exactly.
Throw yourself into that business because in the end, it may be exactly what you wanted and you will learn from it, or you may find out it is not at all what you want to do with your life. So we have to wrap it up. Man, that went fast.
Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening to the 101. Again, we had Greg Yoakam with us today from kidslink.com. If you want to listen to this over and over and over, you can find recordings of our shows on our YouTube channel, the 101 Radio Spot. You can also go to thebagolife.com, click the 101 tab, and you can listen to all of our past shows there. You can submit comments, questions that you have that you may want to have us answer on air, or if you're interested in being a guest. If you have knowledge or your experience, we'd love to share it with people. So thank you, Greg.
Thanks
so
again.
much. And maybe we'll do this again soon.
That sounds great.
Thank you for listening to the 101.
You've been listening to a Morris Media production.